Hello? Can you hear me now? God damn, it does this to me every time. This happened last time too, but nobody was here to say anything. Okay, let's try this again. And we still can't hear it. Woo! Stream problems! This is what happens when I don't stream regularly. Everything breaks. It's okay. I gotta wait for Noah for a second anyways, so we'll fix this real quick. How's everybody been? Lud, how are ya? App settings. That's the problem. Sample. Let's try that. Nope, that's not it. What about game? What the fuck? No, I don't blame you. I don't know what the fuck is going on with me right now. So it's output and then the input at the bottom. Input. The output goes to... We're just gonna try a couple things, honestly. Yeah, technical issues. I don't have one of the color charts, so I can't do that right now. Still can't hear it. Sample, let's put it on system. Nothing. You like the music though? Music's pretty nice. Let's put them both on this. Let's try this. I'm gonna reload the overlays all together. And then we're gonna try. Fuck off. I don't know what's going on. It's got my counters all out of whack. Also, the follower count is not accurate. It's like 507, not 513. That's what happens when you don't stream in a while. People are like, oof, this guy ain't going live again. And they're half right. But we're back. I try real hard to be regular, but I did put out a YouTube video lately, and I'm working on another one at the moment. If you haven't seen the YouTube video, you should go check it out. Also, we decorated for Christmas, so it's all Christmassy in here. And if you go in the About section on Twitch, if you're watching this on YouTube, and on the VODs channel, which we also have, which has more channels than my main, more subscribers than my main channel, which is something else. I'm kind of trying to unify the look across all my stuff. So we're making the Twitch channel film and photography based. So if you go down there, there will be 35mm film boxes, and I edited them, I photoshopped them earlier today to look like, just to say what I wanted, like about me, chat roles, all that kind of stuff. Also, if you go to the channel points, it is a film canister of Ilford HB2, something like that. There's also flashback there. Yeah, exactly, a cozy break from streaming. And we also have right here a film strip as the goal. God damn, we're just having quite the time, aren't we? Why can't I just do default on this? Hello, Jab. What is poppin'? I'm having a hard time right now, if I'm being honest with you. If I'm being not honest with you, it's going great. I don't know, what the fuck? Dude, I feel that. That's me. I have not gotten anything done this week that I wanted to. It's kind of unfortunate, but You know, sometimes you just need a little bit of a break. And for me, that's most of the time. I'm trying to find out why my alerts aren't working. Since you're just joining us, that's why I'm doing this over and over again. Let's see if I do this. No, that's not it. No more homework or classes on break. Nice, nice. Failed an exam. Thanksgiving break. Oh yeah, Thanksgiving's this week. What the fuck? Damn. That's nice though. A good break. I don't even really think about breaks anymore, to be honest. Oh man. I just forget. Time just goes by and I'm like, ah, shit. Man. I don't know what my Mr. Ketchup Coffee. It did zoom. Hey, yeah, Overwatch had an update. Yeah, I'm just confused on why my alerts aren't working. Control audio via OBS. Let's try that. Ooh, did I break it? Did I just altogether break it? Oh, there it is. I'm scared. Yeah, no, it didn't change for me. It's still purple. Wasn't it purple? No, dude, I feel that, Jab. I feel that very much. Yeah. It was blue? I thought it was always purple. Maybe it was blue. No, yeah, it was definitely blue. Lud, your name is blue for me. It's blue on screen too, isn't it? Wasn't it yellow before? 100% Mandela effect. Input. Output. Yeah. And this, we output it to game from broadcast. I'm having a stroke. What the fuck? I'm so confused. Sorry, I'm looking at my volume settings. I have volume and device preferences. And I'm just fucking confused as to why I can't hear my alerts, but who knows? We're just gonna, the alerts are there. We're gonna pretend we can hear them because I sure as hell cannot. Who fucking knows? Oh well. Oof. You had it yellow, then you swapped to blue. Okay. Oh man. Well, we're gonna be playing some Overwatch today, if you couldn't tell by the title. If you can't read, congratulations. Welcome on in. We're playing Overwatch. We're gonna be trying to finish up my my ranked placement, my comp placement. I have one game left for my tank to Noah, holy fuck, your name is, oh my, that is bright. Yours was blue, now it's purple. Gotcha. It's Noah and I, and then yeah, I don't know if you're good at this game, Jab. I don't think you've ever played this before. RAP. Support carry? You sure? We'll try one game. All you need to do, just keep healing me, because I'll be playing tank. That's what you need to do, okay? There's also an update, so we might just kind of chill for a second while we wait. Where are you, Jab? Are you even online? There you are. Oh yeah, Jab, you're in After Dark. There you go. You have access to the secret voice channel now that I'm sitting in muted. After Dark. Yeah, who you gonna play, Jab? We gotta work together. Because I'm gonna be playing Orisa, most likely. Because that's just my girl. Which is what I've won the most on. Noah. Okay. As long as you're doing good healing, we're gonna be all good. Neighborhood alert. Loud booms. Y'all hear those gunshots? Every neighborhood app update is just... You hear those gunshots? What the fuck is showing me? I don't know. Every time. Oh, Doomfist? No. Orisa's so great. No, I love her. She's my favorite tank. Hands down. Oh. Trent! What's up? Hi, Trent. We're waiting on Noah's game and Jab. Keep me updated on the percentage. Yeah, what do you guys think of the room? It's all cozified. Hold on. Let me go get something real quick so you can see the cats while we're waiting. I got my 14%. Should go fast. I'm gonna break out this bad boy and see if you can see the kitty cats. Hey, Courtney, you and Noah are tied. Yeah, we can't hear any of the alerts, unfortunately, but thank you for the resub. How you doing? Ooh. Yeah, sometime in the future. I got one more game left for my tank placements. And I am gonna try to... let's see. Try to show you the cats. Oh, that's the wrong one. My bad. There we go. I'm gonna go... Which one is it? Raji... Nope, not that one. This looks terrible. This webcam is the worst. I got you. Sojourn's good. Love me some Sojourn. Sorry, I'm messing with my settings right now, so you'll be able to see the cats and not want to die looking at the fucking quality. Auto. No. We're gonna turn that up one. So the brightness just a tad. Low light compensation off. I hate this camera because you have to set it up every freaking time. Okay. You guys ready? I think I should be able to just... Room cam. Oh my god, that's tiny. This isn't even... This is square. What the fuck? Why is it a square format? Okay, well there's the cats. I don't know why it's in this aspect ratio. Hey, congrats on first job. You can see the little film canister whenever you redeem that now. 40%, nice. Been into Genshin, so between Valorant, busy playing some games. I feel ya. I know. Ah, man, I wish you could see it on the chat over here. No, I love our internet, Noah and I's internet, because we have fiber. So it's gigabit up and down, and it is something that if I move, no matter how nice the house is, if it doesn't have nice internet, I am not doing it. Well, the channel points. I was actually gonna play DBD later on if I was feeling it. So if the games went pretty rough after, you know, I got the ranked stuff done, I might have played some DBD, but I think I'm gonna have to go against that right now. Sorry. Also, hey, what's up? It has been a while. The former wizard. How are you? I need some people to just yell at me to stream every week because I want to stream more regularly since I got some of the other stuff going pretty well. I need to actually like hop on and stream more. Oh, I definitely miss it. It's just once you get out of a habit, it's so hard to get going again. Okay. Don't fucking do it. I know what you guys are thinking. Don't do it. Should I even stand up? Move the mat out. Watching you. No, what's your game percentage at? What are we looking at? Are we almost good to go? Oh, I also have this game that I want to play. It's called... Hold on. What's it called? Oh, it's done? Nice. Going to my library again. Who's your daddy? It's about a baby that tries to die. Crazy Age too. Dude, I love the Discord games. Just do 4 hours of Overwatch? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I do anyways. Whenever I'm ignoring what I'm supposed to be doing, it's either Overwatch or TFT. Yeah, it's about a baby that's trying to die and the dad trying to not have the baby die. It's a comedic game, don't worry. Oh, pizza. Shit, I want some pizza. Yeah, I'm going to stream for as long as I can, which may not be an incredibly long time. A couple hours, though, because I am hungry a little bit. Maybe I can get Noah to bring me some food. Talk amongst ourselves. Okay, thank you. You know, I love the Discord games. They are so good. I know. Maybe you can get me something after. Pick me up something. You want to grab pizza for us? Dude, I love Hamburger Helper, though. Not every night or anything, but Noah started playing Overwatch. But Hamburger Helper is one of the better quick meals you can make. Although if I had a choice, I could eat cheese sticks every single day for the rest of my life. Yeah. I might have an issue there because it's just fried cheese, but if that's all I had, I don't think I'd get sick of it. Hamburger Helper, on the other hand, I definitely would get sick of that. It's keto? Yeah, exactly. Is that what keto is? What, Noah? Are you even in here?
Yeah.
Okay. That's disgusting.
71%.
You're getting there. Hey.
Invite me, Cap. Okay, I'll invite you.
Which one? Roll Q. There we go. Okay. Listen, I'm not the one who usually starts these games.
Yeah, no problem.
Also, fair warning, I am not 100% sure if I can even play ranked yet.
You probably can't.
Wait, I just got a... Guys, I just got a...
Got a what?
An a notice that says voice chat may be recorded to investigate and verify reports of disruptive behavior.
Oh my god.
What did I do?
Noah, what the fuck are you doing?
Noah, what have you done?
Who reported us?
Who reported me?
Is this the FBI? The fuck?
God damn it.
Yeah, it's the Japster.
No, it is not.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Are you saying that in game?
Nah.
Oh, we're in a game. Boy, what are we in? I can't move. I don't have a person. Okay, this is unfair. All right, Noah, you bitch. I guess we're in a workshop game while we wait. No. Damn it.
78.
78?
I'm so jealous.
I didn't
of
kill
one of my
anybody.
friends.
I just keep... I hate these game modes, Noah. I'm telling you.
Just don't hate it.
Jab.
Sorry. Yeah, one of my friends
What
got,
the fuck? Am I lagging? Because it keeps... My
Yes,
E
you are.
keeps going off.
No, it just in this game mode it keeps going.
What do you mean?
For this game mode it will just keep going off.
Why?
I don't know.
It's not... I want the... If I were to choose anyone to go off, I'd want the heal to go off. God damn. No, why'd you pick the
can
dumbest
also
game
switch
mode?
it. So what are you talking about?
I
Genji
hate this game.
parkour.
I'm leaving.
No,
Cap loves Genji parkour.
I'm leaving that shit. I'm gonna wait by myself until everyone's ready. No, I'm declining. Ugh. Exactly, Trent. Yeah, it's the one where you grow, except I hate most of the game modes. Genji parkour is not the worst, but the grow one and the Genji ball. Don't like Genji ball. There's another one that I just hate. If we load into it, I just don't play. What is it? I don't know. Not a big fan of deathmatch either, but it is. No, I'm not in a party with Noah anymore. Nope. I was like, join my party. I'll make you play this game.
I wouldn't make you play anything.
Shaking my head.
I force everyone to wait in lobby builds character.
You throw me in another game, I'm leaving. Shaking my damn head.
Damn, Left 4 Dead was from 17 years ago?
There's a lot of things that are old.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a cool Genji skin. Seasonal stuff. Too bad the skins are like $900. These things are expensive as fuck.
I mean, it's the same as Valorant prices, so...
The maid skin's only $10.
But I feel like Valorant is like, it's Valorant. This is... Oh.
I mean,
like
to be
Valorant.
fair, you can't really blame Blizzard for that because they literally took just what Riot's doing and plugged it into their game.
I'm gonna still blame them because it's... because of everything else they've done, you know?
Fair. Fair.
The one thing I did like about loot boxes is you would get free skins.
Right.
Like you just play and get
it's
free
not-
skins.
And
Here,
you got loot boxes for free by leveling up,
Mhm.
right?
exactly.
Whereas with this, it's like
This you don't get shit. Which is...
feeling overwhelmed by your to-do list. Take your biggest task and break it down into smaller, more ignorable tasks.
Shaking my head.
Perfect. That's what I do all the time. 91%.
Hurry up.
92%.
You guys haven't had water today? Make sure you drink water.
I got a water bottle right here.
Good.
I've
Drink
already
it.
gone through 2.
Drink it. All of it. Chug, chug, chug. Drink it. Drink it or get chapped lips. These cats are so cute. Where is it? This one? Nope, that's not it.
That's it.
There they are. Little kitty cats. Oh.
My school served like the best food today.
What was it?
Well, not I wouldn't say best, but they had some of the best. There was
Actually, I hated the food. Why did they even serve it?
No. They gave us mozzarella sticks.
Were they good? You got to be careful. School mozzarella sticks can be rough.
They were good. Well, here's the thing.
How good? What would you rate it?
halls.
TGI Fridays, Sonic, Applebee's, Chili's, like what?
Ooh, I don't know.
Or is it like mom and pop
pop
soggy, not even a good mozzarella cheese in there?
So,
or is it gourmet mozzarella sticks that I had in Little Italy, like 10 years ago?
I don't know how to rate it. Like they were all right. They were decent. Well, then again, all the food here is shit normally, so those are really good.
You live in Ohio or something, right? Where the fuck do you live? Idaho.
I'm from Chicago.
No, where do you live now?
I'm in Michigan for school.
That's it. It's not the worst place to be.
98.
So where? This is my hand. Where at?
I'm not on the hand.
Oh, sorry.
I'm in the Upper Peninsula.
Like right there?
I don't know. I don't know the hand
At the
stuff.
tip?
Yeah. No,
No,
not there.
No.
So, like,
not in Ohio, Len. We were close.
No.
It's Michigan.
not in Ohio.
But not even the fun part of Michigan. Jab is a tip kind of guy. Ayo.
Ugh,
Congrats,
I'm not
Jab.
even- no. I'm from like, so if you look at a map of the UP, there's like there's a peninsula on the peninsula.
Hold on.
That's
Stop.
where I
I'm going to bring up a map. I'm not going to dox you, don't worry. There's not enough people here to be doxed.
No, I don't care anyway. It's a pretty, like, it's not a well-known school, but it's like a respectable school, so I wouldn't give a shit.
Maps.
You're not finding me. There's 7,000
I'm
students here.
gonna find you.
Okay,
I'm gonna show up to your dorm and just kick you in your throat and then leave.
do it.
I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. That's too much.
Do it.
Okay. So
I'm waiting for the map.
trying to dox myself here. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
Not even the real name. Just
So zoom out. Oh, I got a commercial break.
Oh, so you're on the
What
top?
timing.
You're on the top?
Yeah, over there.
Copper Harbor,
Nope, south.
Beagree,
No.
gay.
No, it's the city. It's
No, we're
Hogan.
moving to gay.
It's the one by the
Okay.
Portage.
Um,
They have a gay bar in Gay, Michigan. Fun fact.
They better.
All right, my game's done updating.
This is a pretty area up here in Michigan, though.
The fuck is going on? It is very nice. I saw the Northern Lights not too long ago.
Really? You can see it from Michigan?
Yeah. It's great.
Yo, who wants to move to Svalbard with me? The northernmost town. I have 4 months of midnight sun, 4 months of no sun.
My Twitch is being fucking stupid again. Classic Twitch.
Man. Svalbard.
Bum 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 bum.
As making you
So
go
can I
Japanese
play
ogre.
Ranked?
Japanese ogre. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay. Anyways, let me exit out of here. Start
no,
up.
you
game.
cannot play ranked. Jab, get out of here.
You can't play ranked?
Oh, wait, 1 second. Yeah.
I should be able to.
One or more party members needs to complete the competitive play challenge.
Hold on 1 second. Let me leave the party real quick, see what I gotta do.
Yeah, no problem. We're just gonna play one without you.
Yeah.
That's fair. How do I leave the group?
Here you
There
go.
we go. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Got you.
The fuck?
What the fuck is the competitive play challenge?
There are message requests now? On Discord?
Cody, are you?
God damn, what the fuck?
Oh, I have to win 50 games in quick play.
LOL.
Damn. 50?
50. Oh, guess I'm not playing Overwatch.
Alright, bye.
Have fun.
Try.
Cody, accept.
Hold on.
Damn, can this game
I
close
like,
any
I'm
slower?
alt tabbing out and shit. Give me a second.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Damn, that's a lot though. 50. Crazy. All right. My bad. New Queen Street. Yeah, literally. I was gonna say something, but I was like, no, don't say it. But Jab said it, so brought attention. Okay, I gotta adjust my sense. We're gonna play on the lowest sense because that's just how we do it. Oh, so we loaded like right in. I feel like I haven't even played that much unrated. Like 50 of them though, and winning.
No, you can play because we played Overwatch 1.
Oh, that makes sense, I guess.
And the comp thing was different back then.
I guess. Damn. Oh yeah, I guess you're right. He does have it in his username. Never mind. This man doxed himself. Okay, hey, that means everybody here who's already in Discord, ignore. But if you're not, !mark Discord. Not anymore. Oh.
3, 2, 1.
All right. We gotta win this, Noah. We're gonna win. We're gonna do great. Low res taxi. Yeah, you also never played the tutorial, so I mean, there's that too. Let's see. What we got? A Reinhardt. We got a Moira. We gotta get my ass beat. Oh shit. Oh shit, Noah. You're on the part. I mean, you're on the robot. Not you. Somebody's on the robot, and I'm dead.
I died too.
Woo. So those games you played didn't count towards you in lock and roll? Guess not. I figured, like, you wouldn't have to do the tutorial to do all that, but I mean, that's kind of dirty. Okay, we gotta focus. Focus hard. Playing the comp games. What the fuck is next to my health? 550, and then it's like a weird, like, graphic thing. I don't know what that is. All right, healers.
Oh my god.
Are you dead again?
Yeah, it's fucking.
Are we gonna lose this game?
Yes.
No. That was a wrong answer, Noah. This
No, look, we're
man.
winning.
Well, they still gotta come back. Like, we can get them like halfway, but I think they're gonna make it before we get all the way over. Yeah, they're already coming back. And I'm a pusher. Yo, can I get some heals? Where's our healer? There he is. Alright, you gotta work on killing the tank real quick. Alright, I'm in, using my ult. And he blocked it. Alright. Noah, are you just like dead as soon as you get here?
Oh.
I must do better.
Thanks, love. The enemy is moving the barricade.
Damn, we're having a rough time here. Is it like best 2 out of 3? What do we do?
We just push the cart.
Well, no, I know we push it. Like, I've been used to playing. We've been doing a lot of the escort.
Now you just push it.
It's whoever wins.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that is something. Gosh dang. I like when we have 2 healers with us on our team because it usually goes a lot smoother, you know? God damn, I'm kind of lagging too. I need to exit out of some stuff. I'm stuck on a car, damn it. Oh man. It's our warm-up game, for sure.
The world still needs defending.
We got another healer we can bring in here.
We have 2 healers.
No, I know. Somebody we know.
Time to put a
No.
stop.
Because we did so well last time.
No, last time it was just me healing, and then we had awesome DPSing.
Ah, shit. Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's the difference. DPS difference. Oh, fuck off, May. I hate
I
her.
think we're just having our first bad game.
No, it's okay. We had some bad games anyways. Before this. Yeah! Good job, May. Oh, fuck. What am I being shot at by? Hey, there we go. Maybe we just need to warm up a bit. Where's May at? 3, 2, 1. I missed. I overestimated. Flicked a little too hard. I have my ult. I'm gonna try to get rid of the tank first. You know what? Not terrible. Woo! Nope, straight into comp. Straight on in.
No, behind.
My bad, we're getting a little too ahead of ourselves.
Time to push.
I have my ult. I need to use it soon. Break that shield, boy. Where is he? Damn it, he went straight to a health pack. Oh, and he's getting healed. Where is she? Where is she? I'm gonna get fucked over here. Oh shit. Oh. We were doing so good. It's okay. We can gain that back if we got it once.
Still lead forward.
Let me know if I'm dropping frames or anything. If I need to close out of some extra stuff.
I'm going in.
Acknowledged.
I have ult as well.
Hi.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Good fuck, Moira. Okay, coming in. Come on. I couldn't get them all. They were gonna all leave my area. Oh, fuck off, May.
Nah, she was on the stage. She saved herself.
Oh no, I know. I just don't like it. Let me complain, Noah, damn it. Gotta aim straight for his noggin. No, don't heal, don't heal. Woo! Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. We're close.
Let us proceed.
We are outnumbered over there. Forward spawn active.
We gotta stay on the point. Oh, that was a good one. This May is, she is effing us up. Well, I guess saving herself more like, but. Moira. Oh fuck. Oh man, I'm. Ugh. Oh god. I'm having a rough time here. Damn. I was trying to use my Q, but I couldn't. Maybe I didn't have it up yet, I don't know.
Oh no. I hope
At least I spawned at the forward spawn before we lose it. Yep. Damn, this game is going way back and forth. What's wrong with their Wi-Fi? Just slow? Fuck off. That shield. Damn it. Just barely missed. Alright, mate, thanks.
60 seconds remaining.
Damn, we just keep going back and forth. Holy shit.
Pushing the barricade.
Ah, man. We need to... Oh, no, no, no. God damn it. I am in a rough spot. Ugh. Man, that's rough. I'm getting fucked up.
10 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, heroes never die.
So is it just who has the most after a certain point?
If we stay on it, we can still win.
Come on in, everybody. Oh, fuck off. She is... That Zyra shield kills me so much.
Stop them and see victory.
We have to stay on point. We get off point, we lose.
Oh, okay. If I can get some, you know, good heals, I can try to stay on as long as I can.
Over here. Over here.
Trying to kill this Mercy. Oh man, I was shooting our fucking... Our own Mei. No, 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 no. Oh, I'm gonna get... I'm fucked. GG's. That's a loss.
We must recapture the robot.
Damn. That was a good try, though. Skip. Next.
Play of the game.
Noah. Blue.
You gotta give me a second.
No,
Damn.
immediately. Immediate.
I gotta get...
GG's indeed. We'll get him next time. Man, I gotta figure out what I want to eat tonight. I do not know. Oh. Stolen semi-truck, apparently. This neighbor's app going crazy. Going absolutely fucking crazy. Turn some music back on. While we wait. Ugh, man. Let's see. Pre-order beta for a game you've been waiting for is out. What is it? What kind of game? My Little Pony? Minecraft 2? Warhammer 40k? Never heard of it. I'm just kidding. I've heard of Warhammer. I don't really keep up with that game. What do I have? I have one of those kinds of games in my Steam library. I don't know what it is. Or it might be Warhammer. Never mind, it's not Warhammer. No, definitely not. Which one do I have? Let me see. I have... Oh, game found. Whoa, da, 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 da. No, it's Warhammer. No, that's... I'm thinking of a different one. I do have Warhammer Mechanicus? Mechanucus? There's one of them that's like a big, like an RPG kind of, like, if you ever heard of, oh, I forgot what the name of the other one is. Never mind. I don't know what any of these games are. Steel Division Normandy or something like that. Like, you can send out troops and all that,
It
and
wasn't me this time.
I'm going the wrong way. And I control like a bunch of people from top down, RTS type game. I don't know what it's called. I don't know the name. It's like maybe it's War Thunder or something. I don't quite know. Go break the fuck out of these bad boys. All my homies hate. Ready? Ready? Yeah. All my homies hate barricades like that. Yeah, you think that's it? Okay, cool, cool, cool. No, can you hear me still? What do we? Oh, we got a Sigma? Oh shit! Right away. Sigma dick. Oh, sorry, Annie. That's a cool Junkrat skin. Oh shit, I'm back! Yo, fuck this Lucio! Oh, fuck off! We were so close! Hey, yo, can I get a revive again?
Bro, they have a Pharah and a Roadhog. That's so not fun.
Who should I play besides Orisa to help with this? Who's good against Sigma? Orisa can do. Maybe... What do we have? I don't know. I feel like we got some good people. Although I feel like we are not having good games tonight. And, yeah, no. I'm getting fucked up. Ooh. We got this bad boy open over here. We gotta kill that Mercy. Yeah, boy. We just gotta keep him away. Oh, almost got her. Almost got him. Bring him on in. Yeah. Ah! I'm getting fucked up. Oh, I'm almost dead. 27 health. I died. In case you guys didn't see that. That Mercy, she saw her opportunity. Fuck that ice skate. What's an ice skate doing on that anyways? Fuck that hockey stick. Maybe it's an unranked kind of night. Who knows? Noah's not even here right now.
I am here. What kind of night?
You know what kind of night I want it to be?
I'm here. What?
A burrito night.
Ooh.
Like a big nice honkin' burrito.
Probably really good night.
I'm just gonna bully the fuck out of that Roadhog. Oh, fuck. Nope, 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 nope. Fuck this Sigma. Fuck that Genji. You gotta keep up this energy. Yo, this Roadhog. I hate this guy. I just gotta really get up in his face. Be mean.
She died instantly.
May just blocked everybody off. You said my team? No. Hey, get out of here, May. Woo. This May is fucking her team over a little bit. You know? Hey, they're coming out there.
Locked down.
Thank you.
Sorry, God.
I said Annie, not
Oh. I thought you said, hey, you're in my way.
I said Annie, you're in my way.
Boy. I'm coming in, and we're gonna... Oh, come on.
To my will.
I was a little too far back for that. Woo! Ooh. Yeah, I love doing that. Fuck, I got too close. Our healers are really doing great. Fuck. I don't know what that does. Oh. Ah.
I learn from my mistakes.
We just got to keep him from getting to that point. We'll be in a really good spot if we can just freeze him again.
We just gotta get him off the point.
Yeah.
And move in pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work though. Yo, healers. Oh, I need some major healing. I'm fucked. I have 40 health. All right, well, that's not gonna happen. RIP, both of our healers died at the same time. Sojourn just got fucked.
Failure is a chance to grow.
Ugh. This game's going better than last game though so far. Man, last game was a fucking mess. Where is he?
He's running.
Fuck this guy
He's
up.
up top now, I think.
Just kidding. I need... Are both the healers here right now?
Yeah.
Nah, it's not gonna happen. I'm dead. Yeah, I think this is a rough time right now. Healers! Oh my god, these healers are lifesavers. Woo! Oh, thanks for the follow sub. I was popping, dude. Sorry, my alerts aren't working audio-wise. I don't know why. I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. Oh! Yeah. I don't know. It's okay though, it's up. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why my alerts aren't working. I messed with them and like the audio sources and went into my settings and all that, and who fucking knows, honestly. I sure as hell don't. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's okay. We got this. Oh, I'm... again. Oh, I'm... Oh, it's okay, Sev. No worries. I haven't streamed in a while, so I mean, it makes sense. Because I feel like we haven't really played a lot of games together until recently. So, yeah, during that time, I wasn't really streaming a lot. I feel like we did a good job that round, Noah. Like, we did pretty good. You know what I want? I could really... I don't know. Brahms just sounds great. Noah's not even saying hi.
Hi, Seb.
Oh, my follow sound. I know what I'm going to change my follow sound to. It's going to be a camera shutter. It's going to go... Because by the way, Sev, I redid a bunch of stream stuff in case you didn't see. My starting soon screen is now drone footage that I did.
Only in unity will we fight.
Yeah, it's not really Christmas tree, I'd say, but
I'll make sure
my
this
chair
goes
is up.
smoothly.
Well, actually, no, I do have a little Christmas tree. That's cool. I love the little Christmas tree.
Whatever awaits us, I am
I
prepared.
don't know where the ornaments for it are, but whenever I put the big tree up in the living room, I will put the rest of the ornaments on here.
What have you
Ooh,
been
I
up
like
to?
that skin, Noah.
You know, surviving.
And how's Murphy?
Maybe I'll get Brahms
Doing
tonight.
much better. Now
Sounds
that you
good.
aren't
Brahms is like a
feeding her
local
scraps all
burger
the
place.
time.
They have shakes. And it's hella cheap. Hella.
4, 3,
They close at like 10:45 though, so
1. Attack.
if I'm still streaming, then that's probably not going to be an option. But go fuck these bitches. Fuck y'all! Fuck y'all!
Get to you. You're in the building. Can't get to you.
No, I know. I can't get out. No, I was trapped. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Yeah, I gotta focus on her. Woo! Gotta. Oh, fuck off. I'm just doing all the wrong things right now. My bad. What are you up to, Sev? What you got going on tonight? I'm not really... It's hard to focus on chat and play comp games right now. Well, that definitely was an ult. Yeah, well, that was a dumb pole throw on my end. Oh. All right, team, we got this. We're just better. We are better. You gotta be careful. Nope, I'm dead. I'm gonna die. I am deceased and passing away. Oop, my bad. Sorry, sub. Twitch ads are fucking brutal.
I must do better.
Anyways, how are you doing tonight, sub?
It's go time.
You know, they're kind of fucking us up. I'm going in and pulling everybody in. Oh, that was a... Okay, fair enough. Damn. We haven't even gotten on to point yet. Ah. Brutal. We're mean. I'm gonna tell. Ah, that was dumb. Woo! Plans with friends later to play new Pokemon at midnight release. I heard about that. Ooh, not your plans, but the Pokemon release. Be excited too. What's it on? Is it like Switch? No, if we lose this, I feel like we should just play in rated.
Yeah.
Because tonight is just not our night. The other nights, we were winning like I won like 4 in a row, and then the other night we won like 3 in a row.
You're powered up. Get in there.
But sometimes it's just not in the books.
Get on the site. Get on
Yep, I'm on the site. I'm on the site. They're fucking shooting me. Ah! I'm gonna die. I'm getting beat. I'm getting beat up. Ooh. Fuck, dude. She just.
Missteps still lead forward.
Damn. This is.
Go time.
We're going against the odds.
GG's.
Okay.
We're not.
Oh my. Oh my.
Everybody's mad. Whew. Yeah, I think just unrateds. Pokemon's been one of your favorite game series. Start with red and blue. Ooh. I played Friends. I forgot what I played whenever I started, but I played the ones on the Game Boy Advance.
We got this. One more. Trust. Faith.
Okay. You know, maybe I'm not doing good because I'm kind of hungry. Maybe that's
Probably.
it. Just blame it on that. No, not a death match. I'm setting the death match out. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, with like what is it, Kyogre and I forgot the other one. Maybe that's it. The blue whale and the red dinosaur. And the green dragon. It starts with an E. Esmeralda. I don't know. Espionage. Estrogenion. I don't know. Rayquaza. No, the green one. Didn't it start with an E? Am I just crazy? The answer may very well be yes. Oh, that is the green dragon? Who the fuck am I thinking of? Who starts with an E? That's like a legendary. Dude, you know what I fucking loved though? The Darkrai movie? Oh my goodness. I ate that shit up as a kid.
I have grown much since our first encounter.
Hey, we're all growing. Just
That's
don't
some
forget
good
who you
shit.
are.
I love that movie.
Lucio,
In the Lucario storyline, I was like,
Helping those in need. Is
it was
its
so
own
good. That is like peak Pokemon, just eating that shit up like nom 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 nom, nom.
enjoy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Yeah, right out the gate, baby. All right, can these people just suck so I can get my final win? All I need is one more. I mean that in a nice way. They need to be having the games that we were having earlier. No! Is a healer near?
Yeah, but we're both on there.
I know. Okay, I'm just making sure. I don't want to go too far in if nobody's over here. I'm trying not to be dumb. I just threw my spear into a wall. Of course. Go over the edge! No! Oh my god. You and this other healer. You're a healer. Oh my god. You guys are doing great. It really did. Fuck that wall. Oh, this sniper up there is definitely not helping things. Who's sniping? Is there somebody behind us? Woo! I'm feeling that. It's... Oh, shit. Go over the edge. Where is she? Come on. Fuck off. Yeah.
You don't have to be so close. Dangerous. Come back a little.
They had it coming. Was it a widow? I think it was a widow. No, let me be an aggressive Orisa. That's like the whole point of playing Orisa. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit! Where are they? Oh my god. I just went through all the emotions and none of them were good ones. Oh, fuck this guy. And everybody he knows. In a nice way. For just this game. It's always the Reapers that do that shit. I'm fucked. We're falling apart. We gotta get back into it.
60 seconds remaining.
You know what? I haven't had a problem with this Lucio yet. We gotta target people better.
I will not die.
He had his. You ready? I'm going in.
They don't have to. They reach checkpoint. They reach checkpoint. You don't have to.
No, it's okay. I'm killing him. It's worth it, Noah. It still sets him back. I'm dead anyways. Damn, you know what? I need to calm down. Like Taylor Swift once said, chill out, bitch.
I will never rest. Cutting through.
Exact quote. She probably said that at some point. Damn, I can hear him. I'm so far away.
Not on my watch.
Damn, I can't play for shit. Somebody's hitting me from far away.
Yeah, they have a sniper.
Oh, can we target the sniper? Yo, we got somebody going on it already.
From my mistakes. Advancing.
RIP us. I don't see this. I don't see this game going so hot.
Someone needs to kill the sniper.
Yeah, I can't really get too much on it. Fuck you. Where are they? She has strong what?
60 seconds.
Yeah, literally. I love doing that shit and just denying Reaper anything. Careful. I have ult. Go the lurk, Courtney. Fuck off, Reaper! I'm waiting for the heals. I don't want to go too ham. Come on in. Yo! Healers, I'm trusting you.
The Widow's on us.
I can't. Oh no! Tell me we're not fucked. Oh no, we got 3 people there. We're good.
Overtime.
I do have alert command. I don't know why it's not working. Maybe because I haven't streamed in a while. I gotta log back into. I think I use Nightbot for that. Oh, you're good.
Score 0.
I feel that. I kind of go in phases of games. So it just kind of depends.
Prepare to attack. Select your hero.
Should he switch? Yeah. I mean, he's doing okay. Which one is he? Probably the one with 7,000 healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doomfist? Yeah, that's kind of when I stopped playing too, and then they came out with 2, and I don't know, it's just had a grip on me.
We will be the lightning that rides the storm.
I don't know how long I'll keep going with it, but yeah, I'm just stick with it while I'm interested.
Maybe get you some new tech?
Yes. Defending your body has earned us the resources to greatly improve my systems.
Oh, too cool. Give us some props for me.
No, I'm going out the side here.
Can't change the world by following all the rules.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack.
Are you decent at Anna, or was that him saying that?
That was him.
Escort
Oh, they're playing kind of far back.
I've got you.
They have a... Do they have a sniper? No. Go, fuck that Moira. Oh, she moved last second. Yo! Oh, watch out for some Metra! Oh, enjoy. Thanks for stopping by, Soty.
I will never rest.
Let's get the payload going.
Enjoy the Pokemon release. I'll be thinking about burgers. Till I finally get one later tonight, hopefully. I mean, I'll get a burger. It just depends how good of a burger I'll be getting. Oh, fuck them. I just gotta be, like, mean. Like, up in your face. Nice. Go! Fuck off. Fuck off. Don't forget to kill Symmetra's turrets. Because those things will get you when you're not looking. Where is he? Oh. I got him for a little bit. Yo. No, fuck that tank. Oh, I'm almost dead. Yo, where are our healers at?
Both dead.
Were they? I didn't see.
Yeah.
My bad.
My allies need me.
What's up?
Apologies, heroes.
You want that louder?
I have ult.
Go in.
What?
You're good going in.
Going in. Heal me, heal me. Okay, got nobody. I kind of scared him off though. Okay. Faye.
Did we kill? Oh, they team killed those.
Yeah, no, we for sure didn't team kill them. The Lucio definitely helps. What?
We have a lot of time still. Oh my.
No, I'm getting fucked. Like, left, right, and sideways. Again.
I'm just gonna pocket heal.
I need to be pocket healed. I go in and die immediately. I mean that in the nicest way possible, but I'm immediately dying and I can't help stand ground or anything. I feel like Bastion's a good choice in this. Where the fuck is he? Ah! Yo, we might as well just FF this game. This ain't gonna happen. What?
You could try going Reinhardt for Sage for what's her name?
All right.
Together then strike them down. I will keep you safe.
All right. Well, I'm getting my. I'm still getting fucked up.
Come this way, come this way.
All right. Damn it.
Yes.
You got it. I did not mean to do that.
Literally, you just ask Sammy to be there. I was gonna say when I get there and I can pocket heal you, you can literally just be a bitch. Make him mad.
Nope. I keep accidentally pressing shift.
David Tracer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won. There we go.
Dang, I was saving my Q. Is this my last one? It's gonna put me in like Dirt 4.
Play of the game.
Not surprising at all.
Yeah, no, not really. Nobody would really kill her bots either, or her lasers. I tried, but well, she throws those things out so fast. Did I get my placement? I did 7.
Yeah. So press continue.
Yeah, of course it's bronze. Shaking my head. It's okay. All right,
Well,
time for an unrated.
Oh, yeah.
What? Were you gonna get off?
No, I was gonna take like a 5-minute break.
Shaking my head.
Fine, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Come on. You can do whatever now. Oh, music. There it is. All right, I'm gonna take a seat again. Okay. There's Echo back there. Being so cute. Love that girl. Blue playing DPS? Where's Jab? We can invite him. Wow. Got like 4 in the battle pass. You know, it'd be some cool skins, but I don't know if I'm gonna be playing long enough to make most of these useful. I do love this Mercy skin though. I don't know, maybe if I get far in it, maybe I'll grab it. Because there's some cool skins in here that I would not mind getting. Alright, time to be a bitch with Moira. I also gotta remind myself to fix the Nightbot thing. Ooh, Hanzo, huh?
Yeah, I'm just practicing.
Okay. Interesting. You know who Moira reminds me of?
Humanity is
Who?
difficult.
David Bowie.
If the universe is a simulation,
Yeah, I see it.
why
Yeah,
aren't there more
right?
elephant seals?
It thrills me to put aside my preparation.
Yo, the meat's floating.
Brilliant inquiries,
Noah,
Doctor. It
you want some floating meat?
thrills me.
Kind
No, I'm trying to
words.
play a song.
Thank you. Snap
Wait,
out.
use your stuff on
Talon
it.
is using you.
Oh,
Wait, use the other one. Wow.
Hey, I'm talking to you.
Wow.
5, 4,
Creatures.
3, 2, 1. Attack.
hey! I didn't know it was like a fully working one. That's crazy. Yo, fuck this guy. Okay, maybe... You know, it's
Oh, there was someone behind us.
okay. I tried.
Pain is inevitable.
Are you ready?
Your end is within my reach.
The sound of hits.
Bro, fuck this dude. I'm just gonna go.
Damn it. Their healer's too good. I'm coming down. I'm coming down. Don't die. No.
On my head.
Our games tonight are just something else, you know?
Now, to start anew.
Oh, I hate this game. Oh, I hate this game.
All right. Fuck this Widowmaker, my dude.
I will not leave a broken world.
Why are you anxious? Got a big review coming up. I can't do shit. God damn. Yeah.
We're outnumbered. Be careful.
Oh no, I got you. I got you. That makes sense. What?
Not forgetting the payload, are we?
Dude, I hate this game. You know, just some days you just.
Échappe à mon regard.
No
one can
What happened?
That's
What the
crazy.
hell? Whoa, what happened?
We got wide cap because of that game.
What happened?
No, I'm the same way, Sev. I can't sleep whenever I got things I'm excited for coming up, like vacations, releases. Literally. We got some good emotes in this channel, I think. Everybody's favorite is usually this one. We got also Franker Face as well with some good stuff. We got BTTV. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff.
Welcome to
Bing, 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 bing. Here's a quick look at the cats from our lowest quality camera available. Because I don't feel like putting the GoPro back up. Yeah, there's the chair. All did up in nights. There's a tree here. There's a tree behind me, right here behind chat. It's kind of hard to see because it's like a little off camera though. That was Echo back there. Flash is in with Noah probably.
humanity is shackled.
Annie's probably in there too. I don't know where she's at. Noah's Annie in there with you?
Yeah, they're both in here.
Babysitting is
Aw.
not part of my services.
So cute.
That's a relief.
Love those
They
cats.
trust you with a baby.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Flash probably tormenting him.
4, 3,
Man.
1.
I'm still thinking about that movie I watched the other day. It's called My Policeman. Such a gay movie. I loved it. Plus, everybody's ragging on it. And then, like, I get the source material, like, is different than what they put out. They left out some stuff.
Your end is within my reach.
But it's okay. Felt like it was a good movie if you hadn't read the book. Most of the times I feel like if you read the book, you're not going to like the movie anyways. Haha, fuck you. Dude, fuck echoes. I hate echoes with most of my being. You fuck nerds. I just been killing people with fucking orbs.
Progress is seldom one would stop their push.
We're gonna do the jump. Meow. Gotta come around. Have some heals.
I offer something more. Enemy located.
Yo, fuck this widow.
You could still be of use to me.
Yo, go get it. Fetch. Let's play DPS fetches the heal.
Over there. You cannot escape me.
No, I got you guys. No, I got you guys.
No, I'm dead.
Oh wait, that wasn't you?
No, I died.
Drink your fucking heal juice, dude. Come on. Oh my god. Oh, Roadhog, please.
Widow probably just got played the game.
I have not seen Bros. It wasn't really on my list of things to see. Because I was feeling more like, oh my god. I've been into the dramas lately. We also watched Barbarian. Not a gay movie. But still
Evolution
pretty
is a
good.
painful path to walk.
For not being gay, it's still a good movie. It's okay. You know. Second. Yeah. I like rom-coms, but like it's not really my go-to, honestly. Like, if I'm picking a movie, I'm probably not gonna pick a rom-com. Not that I don't like them, it's just I love dramas and like how beautifully shot they are. Like, My Policeman was an amazing like movie for cinematography and all that. It just looks beautiful.
Taste of poison.
I'm just gonna stay on the thing.
Let us proceed.
Nobody wants to get on the point.
Retrieve it.
What is next to my name? Man, it's a good movie.
Great minds
If you
are
like
always persecuted.
horror,
Stop the enemy
it's
immediately.
kind of more of a suspense thriller kind of film than a horror film in a way. I tried. Yo, fuck this guy. Yo, tell that Widowmaker I hate her. Noah, Noah's not even here.
I am here.
I doubt it. I haven't heard you speak, and if you don't speak, that means you don't exist. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Just like if you didn't take a picture, it didn't happen. Oh shit, my bad. I meant to send out the other one. I was a little greedy with that one. Yeah, no, that's my fault. I shouldn't have used my Q there. Maybe I should just play somebody else.
Don't worry, I'll be right behind you. I'm here to support.
Yo, you got this.
Supplying damage increase. You want to press.
Yo! This bitch went straight for me. I hated that. That was terrible.
This will cut the pain. I'd better be more careful.
I can't have shit.
Houston, we have the robot.
As I'm coming.
I am unbreakable.
Wait, somebody come back. You're so far away. Ah!
Keep an eye on it.
That sucks. I was coming back for you too. Oh, thanks.
I got you. He's gonna come after me, but I'll try to keep you alive. I'm trying, Noah. Oh, where are you at? Where are you at?
Fucking
There you
wonder
are.
on that Reinhardt.
Woo! We are not doing any of the objectives. Oh,
Bro, that goes on me.
where? Oh! I got you, Noah.
Get them off you. Our work is not done.
I got you, Noah. No, come back. Okay, sorry. I was just really far away and dying. Woo! Come on, road boy. Road bog. Come on, come at me. Come at me, bro. Bro, come at me. Fuck. No, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Ah, shit. They really just target me. It makes sense. But still, it's me.
My skills are still needed.
I remember this feeling.
Coming back, guys. I'm coming back for you, baby. I'm coming back for you. I don't know the rest of the song.
Sustaining augmentation.
All right, Anna. I need you to like absolutely fuck them up. Wait. How do I? Yeah. Yeah. No. I can't get you, dude. Widowmaker's just hella far away. Oh, come on.
Adaptive circuits engaged. The road hush.
Damage boost. Yo, fuck that echo up. Fuck her up.
Engage this enemy.
Okay. Where you at, Noah? Trying to heal everybody. Oh, behind you. Oh, no. I tried. They're coming back. Oh, where's everybody else at? Roadhog, save me. Yo, I'm scared. I'm fearing for my life. Oh, I'm healing everybody. This is the thing that I'm doing. Why did he go on the ground?
Who?
60 seconds remaining.
They died.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm dead here. I don't see me. Oh. No! I accidentally switched off of my heal. I'm doing my healing job. So I mean, I may be dying a lot, but I'm healing too.
They took him from us.
No, I really want some problems.
You want what? Yeah, let's go. Can you buy me?
I never said that.
But you got paid, you know? Can you res me? Thanks. You lost this game.
Yeah,
Let's go get food.
I am streaming right now.
Yeah, you're right.
How about you go get food, and I'll stay here.
Okay, I'll get food for myself.
Shaking my damn head. I'm coming. I got my ult. I'm coming. Yeah, I'm here. Do you guys need me? Damn. No, that was rough.
Play of the
Okay. That was something.
Do you have any other game plans for tonight?
Not really.
I just think I'm overwatched out.
I was probably gonna play some DBD maybe.
Killer?
I don't know.
I'll chill and watch some killer game.
Yeah, no, most of the play games aren't that great. Here. I don't know. We can play one more. Maybe I'll call stream early tonight. Because I am really hungry. I can't go too long. Plus, all I've had today was a pancake. A pancake and a coffee.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower.
So, that's where I'm at.
Prepare for battle.
Oh,
Select your
I
hero.
want a DoorDash.
do it right now.
I have no gas though. I have to get gas.
Dude, I gotta get gas too. Man. Beep beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop boop beep boop beep boop beep boop.
I will find the key. Knowledge is its
I wish I
own
could, like,
reward.
throw the ball in a way. Yeah. Was there somebody who could pick, like, kind of put the ball in there?
Got a good feeling.
It's not
This could
Symmetra.
be our
It's
best mission yet.
wasn't there somebody who could do that? Because I thought I remember doing that myself. Maybe I'm just losing it. You know?
3, 2,
Come on, come on. Yeah.
round 1. Capture.
Hold on, guys. I'm busy. Sorry, I can't play. Taking everything off the shelves and spawn. Okay, fine, I'll play. Yo, I'm getting fucked.
Pain is inevitable.
We're gonna go up top. We're gonna sneak up on him. We'll never see it coming. I think they know I'm up here. I did not mean to do that. If you couldn't tell. I'm trying to heal. I can't though. Why is she so slow? Is this normal? Am I doing, is my connection okay? What just happened? Am I still streaming? Do you know why she was so slow?
Pain is inevitable.
Yeah, they might have lagged out, I guess. What do you mean, where am I going? May, please.
Misery made manifest.
Let's see, they coming up here? Okay, yeah, at least it's not on my end.
I offer something more.
I don't think there's anybody up here. Yo, I got heals, everybody! Come get your heals, they're free! Damn it. This Mei is just like... It's just unfortunate the timing on this stuff. Who's playing Mei? I might die here. That was a rough one. I was fighting for my life. Yeah! No! Oh, so close. God damn. I don't know. We're doing pretty good. I feel like on my monitor it looks a little laggy on my stream, but it's also just on my monitor, I think. Wait. Here you go. Here you go. Got some heals. People are fucking sniping the shit out of me today. Like, it's crazy.
Best round 1.
Yeah, buddy.
You cannot score.
Okay, cool. Good. And you know what I need to do though? I need to figure out how to do fucking editing streams because this computer, it sucks
I'd rather wait a century
at
for
editing.
progress than cause the harm you have.
What a joy it
And
must be
oof,
to feel entitled to
not the greatest. One day we might do some video editing streams if I can figure out how to hook everything up to my Mac. Or if I get a MacBook, I might do it on there. Not the best though.
1.
Woo! My favorite thing to do is just ramp out in the beginning. Ready? Yeah, get fucked! Okay, when I said that, I didn't mean me. Kinda rude. Uncalled for. I would like to speak with somebody.
To try again. Your end is within my reach.
Too high. You gotta be careful. Wait. Okay.
You cannot escape me.
Yeah, literally. Sue for emotional damage. That's exactly how it works. I wish it was. Oh! Ooh! Boy, you are, oh, we're hanging on by a thread, Mercy. Who's Mercy? Where, Tracer! I got you! This Tracer does not want my help. Oh shit, I'm dead. I'm running into walls! What am I doing? I know, right? Typical. Every time I throw an orb out, people are scared.
I've dealt with cynics before.
A healing orb.
Big Stangerlat.
Hi, Jab. Ah, shit. Oh, nice. Free food. I think after this, Noah and I are actually... I might end stream and go grab some food.
Progress is seldom.
Arnold Palmer. Ritz Crackers. Nutrigrain Bar. That is a lot of stuff.
Cannot escape me.
I think we maybe, what the kids call F'd. Le F.
Surrender to my will.
Meow.
Score.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It happens. You're just really excited about the free food. I would be too. It makes sense. Ooh, honestly, if you're not excited about free food, what are you doing? I'm take a sip.
Write a novel. They said, no, Jameson, you're not the type to write a novel. Well, I said, watch me.
Oh, Junkrat's an author. Hmm. A sophisticated
Systems
man.
online. Weapons ready.
Yeah. All right, now suck him out. Suck. Oh, here we go.
2, 1. Round 3. Capture.
Oh, all the way over.
It all comes down to this.
No, it's not cheating. I know what you're talking about.
Misery made manifest.
Yo. I would... Plus, even if it is cheating, who you gonna report me to? Is there a league for that? Hey. The Overwatch suck league. That's just me.
Great minds are always persecuted.
I'm coming.
Your end is within my reach.
Farah, we're not gonna be able to get to you. There is no way in hell.
You cannot escape me.
Or outside of it. Woo! Whoa! This dude behind us.
Big Stanger Lap.
That's a rough place to stop. Don't kill me, please. Don't kill me, please. Where you at? Noah, who are you? Ah, suck to death. Oh. What? You're not even in my game? You just left me like that? What the fuck, man? This man just left me. Fuck this guy. In a nice way. Platonic fuck, right? Oh, guys, I am stressing.
I see a hostile.
Yo, she got beamed.
May I? Big Stanger Lap.
Yo, I'm gonna die. Can't believe Noah left me like that. What the fuck, man?
I offer something more.
Well, Farrah, you're kind of pushing it.
I'll regret this later.
Okay, I have my ult. I need to use it.
Your fate.
Surrender to my will.
No! I was so close to... I don't really know what I was close to, but I was close to something. Can't believe Noah left me, though. So rude. Aha.
Big stanger light. Ambush and despair.
Step right up.
Yeah, get it, get it, get it. Oh, yeah, there we go.
I'm restored.
Heal, 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 heal. Heal, dude. Dude. Oh, man. The healing. This is a close game right now. I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Come back, come back. I'll heal you. I will heal you. Hell yeah. Dead. Nice. Oh, that's a sick skin. 8,000 damage, 6,000 heals.
Rains from above.
Just, here we go. All right. Since Noah left. And I'm also very hungry. I think that is where we're gonna call it for the evening. I'm gonna try to sort out my alert audio issues for next time. Because you can't hear any of the freaking audio. I don't know why, it's a little frustrating, but what you gonna do? Anyways, yeah, thanks for coming by. And the follows and the subs and all of that. If you're not in the Discord and you want to join, !Discord. I have some buttons actually here. You ready? Oh. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know when I'll stream next. Maybe in a couple days or so. I'm trying not to stream too much to get burnt out, but yeah, just kind of keep them more regular than they have been, which is like once a month lately. Yeah. You have been in there a long time. I need to utilize it more because these past... I was really good about stream stuff for a while, and then like I went on my break and I just kind of ignored everything, and I need to get back into it. You know what we really need to do? We really need to focus on like community game nights and doing stuff like that, because they were going strong for a while and then they just puttered out and died. So because we used to do game nights every week and then we always had a good amount of people. Like I want to get that back going. Maybe some movie nights coming up. If we can gather enough people, we'll see. But if it's like a low amount of people, probably not, because then it's just kind of rough. But anyways, I'm gonna go grab some food because I'm hungry and I've only had a pancake today. Also, if you want to go back and watch any VODs from a while ago, we have a YouTube. It's Cap Soty VODs. The gaming channel is also Cap Soty. If you want to know those. I mean, DVD hell when the new chapter comes out. I need to start playing when the new chapter comes out. I want to get back on the killer grind, play some more Survivor. I just need to get back into it. Just streaming in general. Oof. We'll get back into it. Anyways, enough stalling for me. Enjoy the new outro screen, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.